Welcome back to Questing Beast. I'm Ben. Today we're going to be taking a look at 1,000 Islands, which is a set of zines that I bought from Malaysia. So this whole set of zines looks at a fantasy setting, but rather than looking at a D&D-ish world through the lens of Western Europe, which is what we see in most D&D, it looks at it through the lens of Southeast Asia. So it's a completely different field, different themes, different creatures than what you typically see in D&D, and it's really refreshing. It's also accompanied by fantastic artwork. So let's look at what we get here. In the set of 4, you get Mercagur, which is one location setting. We have Krashing, which is another town, essentially. We have a set of drawings. This is one of my favorite books, actually. And Hantu, which is a supplement that looks at the weird spirits that are common within Southeast Asian folklore, and even some essays talking about the relationship of Malaysians to this type of folklore. So let's start at the beginning and see what we get here. So first off, let's look at Mercagur. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. The text is all written by Zedeck Siew, and the illustrations are done by Munkao. And the illustrations, as I said, are really, really great. So we're looking at the Death-Rolled Kingdom, which is another name for this place. You travel 5 days by boat upriver, and you come to the gates. As you can see, they are gigantic crocodiles done in stone guarding the entrance to this area. You can see that there's buildings growing and being built up the side of it. Just wonderful illustrations, incredibly evocative, and very specific. You feel like this place is real. The writing is also really excellent. It's done in these very short, terse sentences that almost evoke a fairy tale feeling, in that they just state these facts. They don't go on and on describing and elaborating things. They just state that the way that the world is, and your mind just kind of works on that. I really like the way that it evokes these sort of classic folklore and fairy tales. That's the impression that I get from the way that it's written. Looking at the port. This whole kingdom is ruled by sentient crocodiles. We have the Trader's Island, which is an island out in the river that you have to live on if you are not a native of this part of the world. If you are an actual citizen, the only way to become a citizen is to be accepted by the crocodiles, who will grab you in their teeth and pull you under the water. And if they don't eat you and let you go, then you're now officially a citizen. We have these great little write-ups of some NPCs, all with a lot of really excellent, gameable pieces of information that you can use. These books, by and large, aren't really dense with information. Just by flipping through that, you can see that the writing is usually fairly sparse, but it's really well done in that it gives you just enough information to work on in your own mind and incorporate that into the setting. It really gives you a good sense of what else this character or this thing might be doing without having to tell you. The illustrations really help with that too. I should note that the whole set of zines does include some nudity and sexual content, although it is very different than what you might see in like Lamentations of the Flame Princess, which is by and large more schlocky, more like grindhouse, whereas in this it feels extremely incorporated into the setting. It feels very real and very grounded, which I really like about it. We have some customs of the Death-Rolled Kingdom, including adventures. There are overgrown ruins, of course, which you can explore. By and large, this entire set is systemless, so it doesn't assume D&D per se. There aren't any real stats involved here. So any sort of fantasy game could easily use this as a setting book. What it really focuses on is interesting NPCs, encounters, and gaming material. Demon idols that you might find. So what these demons used to be, they might be a god of warfare, of health, of fire, and they're going to have special powers related to that. A nearby town, an archaeologist who also happens to be a crocodile. I love the idea of sentient crocodiles ruling this area. It's just another kind of NPC. Different types of people that you might find, all with interesting features that you can randomly add to create your own. Some great illustrations of the type of people that you're going to meet here. Some personalities, including a princess, Zholan Sanzan, the half-sword. He's actually half-sword. A business owner, who is also a crocodile. A glutton, so obese her claws can barely scratch the ground. Servants have to carry her about on a litter. Owns fish farms, forage operations, snake stone quarries. Many people work for her. Many more owe her money. And then you have this guy as well. An ordinary dockhand, barrel-chested, dull-faced from fatigue. All that hides the fact that Kalava is a serial killer. He kills crocodiles. We have a fortune teller, a high priest, a number of cool crocodiles you might find. So he might have a forelimb missing, torn from its socket, or he might have no voice and talks in your head with telepathy. We have a palace, the royal apartments, of course, ruled by crocodiles. And you have some of the queens, which are humans that are the brides of the crocodile king. And some fun ambassadors, including this awesome bear guy. He is a Baru Bran, the Baron of Candice. So that's one of the little settings that you get. The other one is Krashing. And this is a town where cats are very important rather than just crocodiles. We have the god that rules this town. We have a number of great NPCs. Ari, the bookkeeper, is a little baby in a large bird cage. Ari is a counting spirit. Neha brought him to help her keep her numbers straight. The little details that are just thrown in here, it doesn't explain them, but it implies so much about the setting that you start filling it in your head. Some really cool craft goods. If you're going into a game involving trade of weird items, there's lots of great stuff here that you can use. We have haunted mahogany, so some trees are easily bored. They call out to woodworkers, "Take me away," and they get turned into masks. They get into theater. Many have illustrious careers. Who hasn't heard of Tusked Hazan, the comic genius, the toast of Ya Ming? That's great stuff. Cat toy, shroom wood. A few more NPCs. So by and large, I say by and large a lot, but this book it's not super well organized in terms of grouping information so that it can be easily referenced. I feel like it's much better used as just something that you read and soak in and then use to build out on your own. A builder, a wood carver. We have little bits of fiction that are built into the background, little short stories that tell you a little bit more about the setting. We have a lot of the weird cats that you might find here. You might have a snub tail like a furry fishhook, or no fur, skin wrinkly, greasy, and bare. Perhaps it might heal open wounds and service injuries by licking, licking, licking. All cats are magic. Encounters in the forest. A tortoise shell trotting along, a bird in its mouth. The bird has a human face, crying frightened, calling for help. That's a great encounter. The Wan Kisi of the retractable claw. So you have like these ninja assassins who can come after you. And a spy master. Moving on to one of my favorite books, which is just the drawing book. There's no text in this at all. It's just illustrations, but it does a fantastic job at world building. It paints a picture of an entire alternate D&D that didn't start in America or Europe. You know, there's a sense in which D&D is really more Western or American themed than Eastern or Western European, just because of a lot of the tropes are just very American. But of course, most of the assumptions, castles, knights, and so on are Western European. Just look at these drawings. These are so good. I want more books of just concept art like this. It's a great way to provide fuel for game masters to create their own settings. Books that are super heavy with lore and are very specific about what everything is and how you have to interpret it and how it has to be used feel much more dead to me. they're just harder for me to use in play because I just feel tied down by all the specifics that the author has given me. But illustrations like this just get my mind going. This is one of my favorites. I love this picture of a magic user. That's not your standard D&D wizard, but that is really cool. And lastly, we have Hantu. This is a collection of short fiction and essays by Zedeck Siew. It looks at a lot of these Hantu, which are essentially Malaysian spirits, is probably the best way to translate it, according to this book. But there's something along the lines of ghosts, perhaps. Just weird things that sort of live out of the corner of your eye. And they're all very, very weird by Western standards. So it's great for shaking up your idea of what a monster might be like. The monsters are far more nightmarish and less safe than a lot of your standard D&D stuff. They would fit very well in Lamentations of the Flame Princess, or things similar to them. We have this giant dog with graves growing out of its back. And the essays that Zedeck has in here of how Malaysians relate to their folklore and how it influences their culture and how they just look at this stuff in general was really fascinating to me. It was a look into a culture that I just don't know very much about. We have the Penanggalan. And what's really great is at the very end of this, oh, here's a great monster. I really like this one. It's very simple. All it is it's a woman whose head is backwards. But if you walk around her to try and look at her face from the other side, her head just continues to swivel, so all you see is the back of her head. That is so creepy. It's such a great little image. What's great is at the very back of this book, we have the Malaysian Hantu generator. So all of the monsters in here are actually generated from this system. Where what you can do is you can roll up a set of attributes, and then so like the range of the stories of the creature the stories of the creature tell that it may be found within a certain space, the animal sign, the smell that comes with it, and so on. By rolling up all of these, you can get some really vivid images that you can use to weave into a weird monster. So that's it for the 1,000 Islands. Like I said, I am hugely impressed by this. Not so much as a reference material, but more as an inspirational source. I really hope that they make more of these, because I will buy them up in a heartbeat. These things are fantastic. The art especially really blew me away. I will put links down in the description below where you can check this out for yourself. And that is it for this review today. Join me next time when I will be looking at Black Pudding, which is another zine, but done in a much scrappier style than stuff like 1,000 Islands or Wormskin. I'm very excited to take a look at that. And a special thanks should go out to all of my patrons who are doing an amazing job supporting me on Patreon. In particular, I really need to thank Mike Davison, who has pledged at a very high level and has shown a huge commitment to keeping Questing Beast going. Thank you so much, Mike. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.